A very warm welcome to Mining Review Africa, and today I'm speaking to somebody who's no stranger to Mining Review Africa. In fact, she was once head of our team. Laura Nicholson, head of content and strategic partnerships at Mining Indaba. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be chatting to you today, Gerard.
Great stuff. Now, Laura, let's talk about Mining Indaba 2025. And the starting point would be the theme for next year's event. Can you elaborate briefly on next year's theme?
Sure, Gerard. So our theme for 2025 is future-proofing African mining today. There was a lot of thought that went behind finding that theme and then settling on it. The first being that we needed a theme that spoke to all our audience, to all our different stakeholder groups. And in the case of future-proofing, that definitely does. It's a broad concept, and from my perspective, it does resonate slightly differently with each of our stakeholder groups. But ultimately, what we're trying to say is, what do we as an industry collectively need to do to ensure that our industry has longevity and a sustainable future for our future generations to come across technology, across sustainability, across business practice, etc. Yep.
Okay. Now, that's an interesting point, Laura, because, next year will be 31 years for Mining Indaba. How has the event managed to maintain its reputation as the leading mining event on the continent?
Naturally, the important thing we need to achieve is an evolution of our event that matches the evolution of the industry. The mining industry is, in theory, in a constant state of flux, and it changes and its needs evolve, and the event needs to reflect that and support the industry's sort of changing needs. And so, our content, our theme is always aligned with exactly where the industry is at this point in time, and make sure that we're addressing the relevant topics and interests that the industry does need to talk about. Again, ensuring that sustainable future moving forward.
Okay. Now, you've just touched on themes, and obviously, one of the major parts of Mining Indaba is the investment and talks around that. Are there any interesting developments that we can look forward to in 2025?
So naturally, investment is a key area of focus and importance for Mining Indaba, and there's a lot that we do with regards to supporting the investor sector or market. Naturally, we cover a lot of investment-focused topics across our key programs that would be disruptive discussions, the Intergovernmental Summit, Sustainability Series, and the Tech and Innovation Hub. But more importantly, we have a dedicated area within Mining Indaba that is earmarked specifically for investors and juniors, and a bit of matchmaking between those audience groups. My majors and mid-tiers as well. Within that investment area, we have some new propositions for our investment market that we haven't had before. The first is a series of commodity roundtables. These are intended for investors and mining companies to connect and talk about their strategy around specific commodities, forecasting what they think is going to happen with certain commodities moving forward. For 2025, that would include gold, PGMs, a lot of copper, rare earths, manganese, I believe, graphite, and lithium. So some of those key metals that really talk to the critical minerals aspects of mining. In addition to that, something that we've rejuvenated for 2025 is what we have formerly known as the investment battlefield. So the new look and feel for investment battlefield, we're calling it the Deal Maker's Den. It is meant to have a kind of a dragon's den feel, but that is an opportunity for a selected panel of judges to sit on stage and listen to a series of junior pitches, giving them the opportunity to evaluate those, and then we would choose a winner. And we've broken that up into 2 days to focus on 2 specific areas. The first would be gold, and the second would be critical minerals. So expect to see a lot of hype and interest and momentum and excitement around the rejuvenated Deal Maker's Den for 2025.
Oh, that's good to hear. Laura, now I want to ask you, about government's participation in the event. And obviously, Mining Indaba has always brought together various African governments to come to the table and try and attract investment for their countries. Can we expect the same next year?
We have a new government partnership-focused team, and that means that there's an extended, larger focus on what we do with our African governments in 2025 than we've ever had before. The intention is very much to cater to this audience group. We believe the participation and attendance of African governments is one of our unique selling points because we have such a significant attendance and presence from African governments. In support of this, and you may touch on this, but let me preempt you, we are, for the first time in 2025, extending the Mining Indaba footprint into both CTICC buildings, CTICC 1, where we traditionally are, and CTICC 2, which is new. The reason for this is that CTICC 2 will be a home for our entire government proposition in 2025. This starts with hosting our ministerial symposium on Sunday, which traditionally was in the Western. We're moving that over. We have our intergovernmental summit, which I've mentioned, but as a part of that, as a part of an extension of that, besides the plenary program, we have country showcases, and for the first time, we're hosting a number of investment forums. This is for African governments to connect specifically with the investor market and talk about challenges that need to be overcome to encourage investment. This is not only for African governments, but for some of our international government partners as well, because naturally there's always a need for our African governments to learn from and collaborate with international governments. In this particular instance, there'll be a lot of focus on Korea.
Okay, that's good to hear. Laura, let's look at the content of Mining Indaba 2025. Is there anything new with regards to content?
Two very exciting new additions from the content perspective, Gerard. The first is what we're calling a sub or mini program that is part of the Disruptive Discussions program that is going to be hosted on the Wednesday. This program is dedicated from a Mining Indaba perspective to redefining what critical minerals really means and to who. Because I think the notion of critical minerals is very much categorized or defined by the Western world. And it's very much a different scenario when we come to Africa, because the minerals critical to Africa's future growth, development and prosperity are different, right? It's not just those that are needed for batteries and electric vehicles. It's coal for energy. It's potash for agriculture. It's bauxite for aluminium. So we're looking at critical minerals from a different perspective. We've challenged and disrupted the notion of what critical minerals means from an African perspective. And we're really going to talk about downstream value addition opportunities connected with our minerals to ensure we retain that value in Africa as opposed to exporting our raw materials and losing that value. And I think that's very important, let me say critical, to Africa's future. And I think this is going to be an exciting disruptor, which I love to do at Mining Indaba as part of the content. The second new addition comes on the back of a lot of feedback we received by our general delegate audience, and that was the need to be more participating in and of our sessions. You know, panel discussions are great. They come and hear that content and there's value in that, but everyone has a voice and everyone wants to share, you know, their own opinion and experiences about certain topics. And so what we did was we defined 7 content pillars, and each content pillar we created what we're calling an interactive workshop around that. So there will be 7 interactive workshops over the course of 3 days. Each workshop caters to a general delegate audience, and we're saying come and be part of a conversation, join in, don't just sit and listen, but share your voice, share your experience, share your thoughts around certain things. And those content pillars would be industrializing Africa, future-proofing African communities, net zero and the just energy transition, maximizing critical minerals endowment in Africa, game-changing technologies, a big one, and prioritizing health and safety. We're also hosting an automotive workshop for our downstream buyers automotive sector, but that is going to be a closed-door session specifically for that market. So very exciting that we're able for the first time in 2025 to offer our general delegate an opportunity to be part of the program and to speak as part of something, not just to come and listen and hear from others, but to, you know, extend that voice and share their insights and opinions.
That's good to hear, Laura, that there's going to be more engagement between those that are presenting at the event and those that are attending. My final question to you is, for those that want to be part of Mining Indaba 2025, is there still time to register, and how do they do so?
There is time to register right up until the day before, and I think even for those who really left it late, you can register on site in person, but we really discourage that because it is a bit of a process. So just visit the Mining Indaba website. There's a clear pathway to registering your attendance, and we'd love to see as many people there as possible. We do have a significant growth target for the number of attendees at Mining Indaba for 2025. So every new person or returning person that comes to Mining Indaba will help support that growth.
Laura Nicholson, Head of Content and Strategic Partnerships at Mining Indaba. Thank you for joining us today, and I look forward to touching base with you in February at Mining Indaba.
Thanks, Gerard. We can't wait to deliver a phenomenal experience for everyone that comes and is part of Mining Indaba 25.